Welcome Capricorn to your February 2025 forecast. On the screen now is your event chart right at the start of the month. As ever, we need to be mindful of the sun and the moon. The sun's in house 2, which, like your sign, Aquarius, is ruled by Saturn, but it's only co-ruled. Uranus, the planet of surprises, is its other ruler. But the moon is in the part of your situation to do with your everyday conversations, whereas the sun very much to do with your values, the foundations of your life, and perhaps also your everyday money. But I've got some terrific news for you as this month begins, because the sun angles to Jupiter in a particularly fortuitous way just as February begins. And yet you may be thinking, hold on Patrick, Jupiter has been retracing its steps for the last 4 months. Wouldn't that in some way make this less fortuitous? Well, you have a good point. It has been retracing its steps, but for you, in the part of your horoscope that's very much to do with practicalities, perhaps what Jupiter's retrograde there has done is asked you to be more mindful of your physical energy, particularly as last August on the 18th and last Christmas Eve on the 24th, and the first 2 weeks of this year, Jupiter was challenged by your traditional ruler Saturn. So it's possible during those periods that your vitality has actually been lower. So one of the great things about the start of this month and that link between the sun and Jupiter is that I feel that you can start to feel more vibrant, and you can use that extra energy in a very constructive way. And that could be trying to find economies, having a little bit more enthusiasm for exercise, perhaps looking in a closer way about what you're cooking and eating. The second house is a very Tauran influence where the sun is, but that also encourages us to get the best nutrients we can, and that feeds into your sense of well-being where Jupiter is too. But if you are looking for a job, Jupiter going direct on the 4th of this month and that link to the sun can all be very good for you. But talking of your ruler Saturn, it does start this month in a very close link to the moon. The moon in the 3rd house can be bright, bubbly, perhaps not necessarily very emotional, and yet the host, Pisces, is very emotional at times. It's because for you, the overlay from your sun is house 3. That can be about fast exchanges. But Saturn's very close to the moon. And over the last couple of years, I feel that you may have experienced some challenges around communications, especially with those people immediately around you. Perhaps from nowhere, someone's challenged you about a point of view that in the past has never really been an issue. Or perhaps you felt a little more inhibited in terms of actually saying how you feel. Or perhaps there's been tensions with neighbours or siblings, or generally you've not felt quite as flexed in your body. There may have been some resistance around your ability to move freely. So this combination between the moon and of Saturn at the start of this month, despite the upbeat vibe of the sun and also Jupiter, could give you food for thought. But just be aware, there is a magical alliance at the other end of Pisces, where we have Neptune, the North Node, but also Venus in a trio of energies which suggest if there is something that you want to express that's incredibly important to you, whether it's music, poetry, a principle, whether you want to connect with someone you have a heartfelt connection to, the chances are you can express it despite that more resistant energies of Saturn. But I think what Saturn's asking you to do is to be utterly sincere. Now Venus is going to move on by the 4th into Aries, which is an interesting development, and I will share why shortly, but it doesn't change the fact that Neptune and the North Node are together for the whole of this month within 3 degrees. So if you are someone who's wanted to trip the light fantastic with your imagination, or through film or photography or art, do believe that you have the right to express yourself. Don't let that more cautious energy of your ruler Saturn stop you from really saying how you feel. But back to Venus. It's interesting because Venus moving into the 4th house is a wonderful influence if we want to redecorate. We become much more conscious of the inner part of our world, and therefore the decorative side, Venus rules the sign of Libra, very much to do with presentation, and our immediate environment is the 4th house, could see you getting the colour charts out and finding ways to improve your abode. But also the 4th house can be about emotional relating. And that's interesting because we think of Aries as being fiery. Now Venus is technically debilitated in Aries, but I feel that you can use this to your advantage. If there has been a relationship which has felt stilted, this could be your chance to try to pick the right words and approaches to get the lines of communication flowing in a more peaceful and equitable way. So that can be a help to you. But by the 9th, the combination of the Sun and Mercury creates what's known as a Mercury cazimi. It's a superior conjunction because Mercury is not in retrograde, and essentially the Sun's superpower glows up. That quick wits of Mercury, if ever there was a time for you to come up with a stunning idea to improve your finances, it's going to be around then. But talking about finances, Capricorn, what about that full moon on the 12th? Because there may be part of you that could be very impulsive in week 2 when it comes to an item that you see that could prove to be hard to resist. Why is that? You can be very canny with resources. Well, it is because of the role of Uranus. So Uranus has been pushing even sensible you to just be a little bit more carefree when it comes to perhaps your romantic situation or things that you are attracted to. And because the full moon goes across the axis of the 2nd, the Sun, and the 8th houses for the position of the moon in Leo, what we have here is the potential need to balance the books. So if you have been finding, like many of us, that the cost of living, increasing lending and mortgages and all the rest of it has made life challenging, that could come home to roost a little bit. But equally, Uranus could give you some kind of idea about how you could reconfigure and be more open to fresh ideas to improve your lot. But equally, there may be something that you do, or someone that you do find to be very, very attractive. And when I say someone, the 2nd and 8th houses can be to do with lust as well. The 5th house can be the sector of chance or speculation. So you can see the flash, quick energy of Uranus could just trigger something that could prove very exciting. And you know, from the 14th, Mercury does speed things up, moving into Pisces. Not its best transit, it has to be said. But also from the 23rd to the 27th, it does apply to the position of Saturn, your ruler, but not before the Sun moves on the 18th to join with Mercury, but also with Saturn, Neptune and the North Node. So it's going to be a chatterbox second half of this month. Things are going to pick up speed in a very big way. It's going to be exciting, I feel, particularly with Mars going direct in your sector of relating on the 24th and angling to Mercury in a very productive way. If you have found from the 6th of January that there have been tensions around certain involvements, partly it's because you're being firmer about what you will not accept. Nothing wrong with that at all, but you may, if you're single, have also been more proactive in trying to seek out the person that would really make your heart race. But I think Mars going direct, the lovely link to the position of Mercury, and Mercury's applying to Saturn suggests if there is something delicate that does need talking through, perhaps it's a contractual matter, it's a good juncture to do so. But on the 28th, the last day of the month, we have a stunning new moon. But it's a new moon that actually squares up with Jupiter. But when the moon and Jupiter are squaring up, it's one of those squares which nominally can be challenging in astrology that actually can work very well. And I think that your desire to be much more interactive, perhaps much more physically active too, perhaps more nimble, expressing your ideas is really given a fantastic glow up as this month draws to a close. So the start of the month can be more complex. It can be a lot to do with finance, how you feel about yourself and so forth. But there is going to be an opportunity for you to find your voice. And it's all about directing your ideas in a way which gives you a sense of fulfillment. But perhaps also it can be a time when you learn or consume new information that can be very helpful to you too. Have a great February, Capricorn. If you've yet to watch your year 2025 deep dive video forecast, please see the link below for more. Discover your personal natal horoscope for absolutely free, including the big three of the ascendant, sun and the moon, and the houses they're located in, as well as all the other planetary positions, by downloading your chart by clicking the link underneath this video. Or you can take advantage of my special star choice range where you buy one horoscope and get the second horoscope free. Please see below for more for that too.